Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Padjana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Padjana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Bhad Paramahansa Puritikacharya Astotirtha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Puritikacharya Astotirtha Shri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. 15, no? I think so. Okay. Page 670. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's 6:15? Yes? Okay. All right. All right. On his 24th day of November, 2021 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 18, conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, text 15 at the bottom of page 670. Shariravan Manobhiryat Karma Prarabhate Naraha Nyayam Va Viparitam Va Panchayate Tasya Hetavaha Shariravan Manobhiryat Karma Prarabhate Naraha Nyayam Va Viparitam Va Panchayate tasya hetavaha Shariravan manobhiryat Karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha. Go ahead. Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha. Ladies? Shariravan manobhiryat karma prarabhate naraha Nyayam bhava paritam va panchayate tasya hetabaha. Zoomland.
Shariravan manobhiryat
Shariravan manobhiryat
karma prarabhate naraha
karma prarabhate naraha
yayam va viparitam va
Nyayam bhava paritam va
panchayate tasya hetabaha
panchayate tasya hetabaha.
Shariram vagmanobhiryat
Shariram manobhiryat
karma prarabhate naraha
karma prarabhate naraha
nyayam va viparitam va
Nyayam bhava paritam va
panchayate tasya hetavaha.
panchayate tasya hetabaha. Word by words. Sharira by the body, vak speech, manobhihi and mind, yat which karma work. Prarabhate begins, naraha a person, nyayam right, va or viparitam the opposite, va or pancha 5, ete all these, tasya its hetabaha causes. Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind or speech is caused by these 5 factors. Purport. The words right and wrong are very significant in this verse. Right work is work done in terms of the prescribed directions in the scriptures, and wrong work is work done against the principles of the scriptural injunctions. But whatever is done requires these 5 factors for its complete performance. Okay, we'll go on. Text 16. Tatraivam satikartaram Atmanam kevalam tuyaha Pashyat akata buddhitvan Nasapashyati durmatihi. Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are. Purport. A foolish person cannot understand that the Supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions. Although the material causes are the place, the worker, the endeavor, and the senses, the final cause is the Supreme, this personality of Godhead. Therefore, one should see not only the 4 material causes, but the Supreme, efficient cause as well. One who does not see the Supreme thinks himself to be the doer. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So one interesting factor here that we can think about is, you may recall, from chapter 3, text 27, Prabhupada would always quote this verse, Prakati kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Let's turn to that verse, which is on page 164 of most of your books, almost all of your books, except one, which is still floating around. So the translation to this verse goes, the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Now, if you look in the synonyms, you'll see the word karta is there. Karta, the doer, isn't it? Karta aham, I'm the doer. But Krishna is saying here it's completely wrong. That it's being carried out by the three modes of material nature. But in our list of the five factors of action, one of them is karta. What is it? Text, is it 14? Okay. Adhishtanam tata karta, the place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and so forth. So this seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? Now there's another contradiction similar to this, and that is that in the 7th chapter, we learn that there are these 8 basic material elements. We're just thinking about what is this world and our own, including our own body. So the boomer, apple, onolavayo, kungmano, buddha, revacha, isn't it? And the earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. More progressively subtle and subtle as you list these. And then, apareyamitastanyam, but there's another prakriti, there's another element which consists of the living entities, who are not material at all, they're spiritual. But there's still prakriti. Now that prakriti is then listed in this verse that I keep coming back to in the 13th chapter, Purushak prakatisto hi bhunkte prakriti jangunan. There he's saying that the Purusha, the living entity, is within this material energy. And as he relates to the three modes of material nature, he determines his good or bad births. Right? This is a basic principle. We're going to need some more. You can get some more seats. Yeah. So here we have two instances where in one place Krishna says that one is foolish if he thinks he's the doer, the karta. The karta is actually the modes of nature, material energy. But here in the 18th chapter, the karta is one of the 5 elements, the living entity. So what's going on here? Then we also have the other one with prakriti or purusha. So the idea is that in the context of explaining how things get done, we feel ourselves to be a doer, actually. Even though in the ultimate sense, as Prabhupada explains in the purport to the last verse that we read, is that the ultimate efficient cause, he uses this term to mean the supreme cause often. And that's why I think there probably should be a comma here. Supreme, comma, efficient cause as well, meaning that efficient and supreme are synonymous. That's a technical matter. But the idea is that how do things happen in this world? Well, there's these 5 factors. Certainly, if we're going to do anything, we have to have a working body, right? And that means the subtle body as well. The mind, the voice, the intelligence. That's all part of one of these aspects here. The place of action, adhishtanam. And then there has to be a living entity in that body who wants to do something, right? So that's what we supply. We supply a desire. Now, how that desire came about, that's another thing. It can come about, it can be completely in Maya, and we get our impetus from the impetuses of the senses, the mind, whatever it may be outside. Or that impetus for action can come from the transcendental source, which is what bhakti is all about, where we're transferring our ideas of what to do and what not to do to Krishna, as expressed in Shastra. And this brings us back to the end of the 16th chapter, you remember? Where he says, Tasmat Shastra pramanam te karya karya vyavastatu. Here's the word karya, karta, you notice in it. One should consult as the final authority, or what we call pramana, evidence, of what to do and what not to do, Shastra. Not your own whims. If you act whimsically, you can't achieve perfection, happiness, or the supreme goal. Remember, that's the previous verse. So we have to look toward, use our God-given intelligence, human intelligence, and search out that source of knowledge that will be to our ultimate good. Shreya. That's also in these series of verses. We're looking for Shreya, ultimate good, not just Preya, which is sense pleasure. You see? This is the big choice. Most people don't know. They're looking for different varieties of Preya, thinking that this will make them happy. But ultimately, it just gives you another birth in this world to suffer birth, old age, disease, and death, and the threefold miseries. So how can we get our ultimate good? That we have to consult the Shastra and the Guru, the spiritual master. Perfect example is Sanatana Goswami. When he approached Lord Chaitanya, he was a very, very responsible right-hand man, prime minister of the king of the time, and his brother was the finance minister, and he was very learned, not only in Sanskrit but also in Urdu and I think Arabic, like that, because he needed that for governing. But when it came time to surrender Lord Chaitanya, he put a straw in his mouth, indicating complete submission, and says, who am I, and why are the threefold miseries causing me so much suffering? If I don't know this, what's the use of my erudition? People think they call me, this is part of his surrender, they call me very learned, but I'm completely ignorant about the most important information. So he's going to the right source, the ultimate guru, Krishna himself in the form of Lord Chaitanya, to answer this question. And then he explains in the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and maybe 24th chapter of the Madhya Lila, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the most extensive instructions we get from Lord Chaitanya in that book, the answer to this question. So here we have to understand the use of these words in context. This is what I'm getting at here. Now, what we studied these two verses, right, 15 and 16. No, I'm sorry, 16 and 17. No, 15 and 16. I'm sorry. So Sharir Devan Manobir. This is what we have at our disposal: the body, the words, and the mind. I remember one of these phrases from the first year. These little phrases stick in mind. Avan Manasa Gochara. Krishna is Avan Manasa Gochara. So Van, it means words. Here's the word is Sharir Devan is right there. And Manobir means the mind. So Krishna, the absolute truth, and everything related to him in the spiritual world is beyond the range of our material mind and reach of our words. But notice that there are so many speculators who rely on that in order to try to figure out the ultimate truth. This is Western philosophy. They don't have the access to these higher sources of knowledge, or the means by which they can purify their senses and mind to access that higher knowledge. And so they have tremendous intelligence, God-given intelligence. And so they're using it to speculate and come up with all of these different categories and things. I remember I got entangled in that. I was studying philosophy, Western philosophy. My brother had studied in University of Chicago. So anyway, my so-called college career took a little different turn, but I ended one of the last courses I took was Western philosophy in New York University, and ironically, it was taught by an Indian gentleman who'd become completely Westernized, and he was thinking phenomenology and hedonism and all of these different things, but it didn't answer my questions. The real question I was concerned about, because for me, the historically, that whole decade of the 60s was dominated by two things: the Cultural Revolution, the whole hippie era, which is the most famous, and on the other side, the Vietnam War, which was just this horrific thing. And I mean, it was. I felt I had to do something, So I was concerned with what are the origin of ethics and morality? Because I saw this as a completely unethical, immoral war. So I was concerned with that question. What's the real origin? And I couldn't get a full answer. And the answer is there has to be a God who sets up, who is setting what is the right and the wrong. And without that recognition of a supreme authority, there's going to be all these relative ideas about what's right and what's wrong. So really, that's what Arjun was concerned about at the beginning here, when he finally surrenders. Karpanya dosho pahata swadhama prichami dharma samura cheta. My mind is completely bewildered about what is right and what is wrong. That's what dharma means. Dharma samura, completely bewildered. And therefore he's approaching the proper source to eradicate his doubts and tell me for certain what is the right thing for me to do. And then I'll do it. This is really the attitude we have to have. So here Krishna is describing our situation. And here he's, and there, one of the lessons here, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the five factors, is certainly not very intelligent, not seeing things as they are. So we need to focus primarily in our endeavor to become fixed in Krishna consciousness on what is the desire of the Supersoul. There's this famous analogy. It's there in the Bhagavatam also, but it's famously in the Upanishads, of the two birds in the tree. The body is like a tree. It is like a tree, isn't it? And in that tree are these two birds, the soul and the supersoul. So the soul bird, in the ordinary conditioned state, he doesn't even know about the other bird. He's just trying to enjoy those fruits. Trying to pick away at the mangoes or whatever it is, the apples, And the witnessing bird, the supersoul, is just watching, waiting. When will he turn to me? When will he turn to me so that I can tell him how to be really happy? You see? So for lifetimes after lifetimes, we've been in a tree, not always a human body, because that's the only way this bird can turn to the supersoul, in a human body. But in all kinds of bodies, always listening to the impetuses of the lower self. Now, in the other forms of incarnation, we go different incarnations. We don't have access. We don't have the ability to actually understand what the Supersoul is trying to tell us. We can't hear Shastra or anything. We just are moving according to the senses, playing out our time in a particular body, and then dying and going on to the next body, gradually coming back up to the human form. So this is one of the first injunctions. I remember this is probably the first Sanskrit I ever learned. It wasn't from the Hare Krishnas. It certainly wasn't Hare Krishna mantra. It was that famous phrase. You probably all learned it as children. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamasi ma jyoti gamaya, and mrityu ma mritam gamaya, right? Now that can be understood in two ways. Prabhupada always understood this word ma to be not. Don't. Don't stay in the darkness, go to the light. Don't stay in the temporary world, birth and death, come to the eternal world. Don't stay in the temporary, but come to the eternal. So, but Ma can also be me, can be me, and it's a prayer. Oh Lord, take me from the temporary to the eternal, from death to immortality, from darkness to light. So this is a very good thing, injunction to internalize. If we really feel that way, then we should try to approach that means by which Krishna is trying to take us. And that is by means of his representatives and by means of his book. Not only the Bhagavad Gita, but the other books that he really wrote. Also Bhagavatam is ultimately all his words. So Krishna is teaching us now that we have to understand the whole context in which we act in this world. And if we take our cue, if you will, instructions from the Supersoul, not only internally but externally from the Guru and the Shastra, then we should have faith that we will be led to the eternal life of bliss and knowledge that's spoken of here. And that's exactly what the Prabhupada's mission was. First of all, to give that clear instruction from the Shastra. That was the very difficult thing. He had to write it, publish it, and distribute it. And that's the central mission of this movement. And whenever he spoke, he's speaking as if Krishna is right there. That's the whole point. He said, I was successful because I didn't distort. I didn't take. There's this this nice little analogy. What is it called? The Ardhan Kukiti Nyaya, the logic of half the hen. Now this is like what is that? It's so common in Bengal that Prabhupada, when he put it in his purport, or I think it was in the verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he didn't bother to explain it. So I have to admit, I add a little footnote there. What is Ardha Kukiti Nyaya? Does anyone know spontaneously? It means half hen logic. And what it is a foolish farmer had a hen. And sometimes it's said that he was giving golden eggs, But the stupid farmer think, well, I could make even more money if I don't have to feed him, So for the sake of a few paisa, he cut off the head. Then nothing. You see? But the real important import of it is that we shouldn't pick and choose from the Shastra which injunctions we want to obey and which we don't. The classic is, the Bhagavat Saptahas, the seven-day readings of Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is a full science of God. We're in the 5th canto now. And we're going to come upon these instructions of Jada Bharat to King Rahugana. Long chapter describing the forest of material energy, material nature, and the troubles that you have trying to be, the whole import is, don't try to make a place of happiness and peace in this world. It's impossible. It's a forest with dangerous animals and storms and everything. Can't make it. So he said, well, I don't want to read that. We'll read the 10th canto. And forget, chapter 87. We're going to read chapter 29 to 33. The Rasa Lila. So they have 7-day readings of the Rasa Lila, and people come by the thousands to hear. But they're not getting the real import of the Bhagavatam. How do you, step by step, purify your heart, purify your senses and mind, so that you can understand what that Rasa Lila is and truly appreciate it for what it is. That's, you go from the first verse, defining what is the subject of this book. It's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, who enlightened Brahma, who's in control of the 3 modes of material nature, who knows everything directly and indirectly, all of this stuff. So, here, Krishna is describing to us what these 5 factors are, and that we should not be foolish and think that we are independent. We're completely dependent and controlled in this world. I was nicely, doing my nice evening walk for about a year. I said, I'm doing fine, And then I have a little accident. I foolishly stepped into a ditch, and now for the last month I can't, hobble around my apartment. This is our big independence. We don't have any independence. We're completely dependent on the material energy. So we should find out what the material energy is dependent on and really look to him for our safety and happiness and ultimate welfare. Okay, any questions on these 2 verses?
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. The quote from the translation is
which translation? Which translation?
16.
Okay. There's only one sentence, so.
The first sentence of the purport, quote, a foolish person cannot understand that the Supersoul is sitting as a friend within and conducting his actions, end quote.
Right.
So, Prabhu, my question is, in what measure the Supersoul sitting as a friend within and conducting my actions takes in consideration my free will?
Well, there's a calculation going on. You want to do something, not in the service to Krishna. You want to do something. then there's a whole record of your karma. Are you really worthy of, of getting this result? Or should I just let him try to do it and then he'll get a bad result? In other words, he's calculating, he's understanding because he knows everything you've done in the past 10,000 births. So there's a record of karma. Whether you deserve the fruit or not. So that's how it's being conducted. We don't see that. We just see that, oh my God, I just had a car accident. Whoa, I could have been killed, but luckily it was just I damaged my fender. But all of that is calculated. Whereas other times you see some person didn't get on a plane that they were supposed to get on and the plane crashed. Another person, they changed their flight and they got on the plane that crashed and said, oh, if only I hadn't got on that plane. But that's all being moved by higher powers so that we fulfill our karma. So that all of that is going on. You have a certain amount of free will. We have minute independence, right? But the most important free will we have is to remember Krishna or forget him. And that choice is given, is made available by the preacher of Krishna consciousness, one who is ready to sacrifice in order to make that choice even available. Otherwise, we were all walking around in different stages of ignorance and illusion. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you. We definitely need some more books. I don't know if we have any more.
Maybe some on the long.
Did we ever get a shipment of hardbacks? We have hardback Gitas?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that means we don't. Okay, well, we have someone who's ready to donate 6 or 8 books to. Oh, you want to ask a question? Okay, yes. So is that okay, Vijay?
Yes, that is okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay, Boo. Go ahead, Michael.
So you're saying, if I heard you right, not to paraphrase, but so understanding and going by the Shastras.
Yeah,
That's kind of like the owner's manual to get to where we want to go in Krishna consciousness.
exactly.
Okay. So is it also safe to say that half measures in this whole thing will avail us nothing?
No.
No.
And in this particular
they will?
endeavor, Krishna consciousness,
Yeah.
half measures will get you pretty good. In other words, you won't lose that. It won't get you all the way there in this one lifetime. But next birth, that half measure will be there in your bank account. You'll have a affinity for Krishna consciousness.
And what you do in this lifetime, like you're saying, will
Carry over.
carry over.
Yeah, that's Krishna's
In full,
word.
100%.
Yeah. Neha Brikhamanashosti. There's no loss, no diminution. 100%.
Okay. However, if you want to get to that Godhead, the eternal soul, right?
Uh-huh.
Then you have to go all in. The half measure won't get you there. They will
That's
get you
right.
towards
Eventually
it,
you
but
have
they
to go
won't-
all in.
Eventually you have to go all in.
Yes.
So then why
Why do we hesitate?
yeah.
Because we're conditioned, that's why. Because we have these deep-seated desires and doubts and the tendency, if we're influenced by the mode of ignorance. Well, remember, one of the results of the mode of ignorance is procrastination. I think, well, I'm only 21 years old, or I'm only 19 years old? 19 years old. Let me take it a little easy. I'm not saying that's you, but this can easily be. I have plenty of time. It's an illusion. We don't know how much time we have. So this is why we should associate with those who are really serious about, this is back to Avyarta Kalatvam, not wasting any time. Whether your body is old or young, none of us have any time to waste. We don't know how long. I like to bring back. Many of you some of you have been here for a while. You heard me talk about it before. But I'm old enough. I don't think anyone else in this room is old enough, even you, to remember the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Of course I do.
Of course. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. No offense.
No,
Yeah, 1962. I mean, I was 14. How old were you?
Well, I remember it, not
By reading
from
about it.
school.
No, forget about that. I was there. I mean, come on. I'm watching the TV, and it's like the end of the world. Is it coming now? Are they arrived? You know? No, literally. But I mean, that's still going on. I mean, there's more weapons today. So we don't know how much time we have. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, these fires that suddenly started happening in California all the time. That wasn't happening 20 years ago.
No.
Disastrous. So my point is that the reason why we don't take it completely seriously and try with all our, all in, as you say, is because of Maya. Because Maya is ready to convince us that, take it easy, don't strain your body so much, like that.
But where does it come in that so in terms of making that ultimate decision to go all in, right? If I'm depending, I'm going to use myself as an example, okay? If I'm depending on my mind and my free will to get me there, that doesn't seem rational. Why? You understand what I'm saying? Like, see, I'm looking to my guru. And if I'm not looking to myself to make those, well, I'm not capable of making that. That's a big decision, right?
But the point is, your free will is always there. Your
what?
free will is always there. Just like we're reading in the morning. You've been hearing some of the morning classes, right?
I have.
Okay, so we have King Bharat, who made the decision, really heavy-duty decision. He was young. I don't know. He had already been leading the kingdom for 10 million years, but he was still young. Don't ask me how, but that's what it was. And so he left his family, as a young child and everything. Right? He went to the forest, pulled an ashram in the Himalayas, very auspicious, and he started seriously practicing Krishna consciousness in a meditative, way, but still, it was Krishna consciousness. Became very advanced. He was all in, but he allowed himself. He wasn't vigilant enough to, he allowed himself to be attracted by a little helpless fawn. And he got so attracted to this fawn, he's describing it, it's amazing. And he lost his way, and he had to take birth as a deer for one birth. So the idea is that it's not something that you say, okay, I'm all in and that's it. Every moment every day you have to wake up and again commit yourself, because the forces of illusion are always ready to tear you down. So it's a struggle. Now the point is, you develop certain spiritual muscles where you are able to stay on the strong side, but still there's this pastime. You've heard this before, where Prabhupada is praying, as he often did, ardently in front of the deities, but he wasn't vocally praying. He didn't know what he was praying for. So one devotee asked him, Prabhupada, can we ask what you're praying for? So I'm praying that I don't fall down. Oh, it was Govardhan in Detroit. Vajranarayan Maharaj was there. He was shocked. He said, Prabhupada, how can you fall down? You're a pure devotee. He said, because I'm always praying. Because I'm always ardently calling out. What does it mean to chant the Hare Krishna mantra constantly? The chanting of that holy name, as Prabhupada explained to us, is a call. It's a prayer. Oh, Radha, oh Krishna, please engage me in your service. And that attitude has to always be there with this individual living entity, especially in the material world. Please engage me in your service. Let me not fall again into this illusion of serving my senses, my mind, and all these different things.
And chanting gives you that strength, constant chanting.
Yes,
yes.
And it has to be done with feeling. There's a beautiful verse about the chanting in Queen Kunti's prayers. And he deals with this exactly. Janmai Shraya Shuta Shiva Edamana Madakpama Naiva Hatta Vidhadan Vaitfama Kinchana Gochara. And she says, my dear Lord, this is a very dramatic scene because Krishna is about to leave. The battle is over, they are enthroned, and he's about to go back to Dwarka, and they're not going to see him again. So she's, there's a high emotion and very wonderful prayers. And so she says, my dear Lord, you can easily be approached, but only by those who are not progressively intoxicated with the opulences of high birth, aristocratic birth, with wealth, with very high education and bodily beauty. These are like standard, opulences. Because, there's a because there, which this is my editing job. It wasn't there in the original. I was there in the original, but not in what we've had all these years. because those who are so intoxicated cannot call upon you, cannot address you with deep feeling. They may chant Hare Krishna, but if you're completely attached and involved in material affairs and attachments, then you can't call from the bottom of your heart, feeling desperate and completely dependent on the Lord. And Prabhupada talks about that in the purport. Well, as I say, it's all good, but the speed by which if you want to go back in this life, then you have to be all in all the time. That's the key, all in all the time, every day. Let me go on. Is that okay? Okay.
Krishna Prabhu, can I quickly ask?
Dhanavari, okay.
Thank you. Very nice class. Like very nice discussion. Thank you.
We need a 2-hour class.
Thank you. I even asked this question before, but I still don't understand this. You say that Mrityum Jot Amrutagamaya.
Yeah.
That. So would you explain the meaning again? That about the death, give me Amrut. I still have a doubt. I cannot understand.
All right, the way I understand it, Mrityum Ma'am Amrita Gamaya. The word Gamaya is please lead me or take me, isn't it? This is the form of the verb. So it's a prayer to God, Please take me from this world of death, Marcha Lila, Marcha Loka, to the land of Amrita or eternal life. So this is the place of progressive birth, death, old age, and disease. We all have to die here, Marcha Loka. It's not pleasant. It's a big shock. So we're praying there, please take me from this world of birth, death, old age, and disease to Goloka Vrindavan, where there's no old age, there's no change like that. That's what it means. If I could, I like to give this little understanding of the word Amrita, because there's a word in English called nectar. We've all heard about nectar, right? So Amrita is commonly called nectar. What is the origin of that word nectar? It's 2 words, I think, from the Greek, nek and tar. Now, nek means death, as necrophilia, necrotic, right? It's death. It's dead. And tar is like tarine, delivering. It's the same word. So nectar is exactly Amrita. Amrita means death. Amrita means no death or beyond it. So it's the same word as there. So that's the idea. Is that but Prabhupada always took this wonderful phrase, Vedic motto, say, to mean don't stay in this world of death and rebirth, but go to the world of eternal life. An injunction. And that's, again and again, we find in the Bhagavatam, throughout our literature. The song, Jeev Jago, wake up. Wake up. I can put it in my little motto again. Everybody dies. Nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body, you're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. That's that song, So again and again, throughout our literature, the songs, it's an injunction. If you're listening, don't waste time. Don't stay asleep in the lap of the witch Maya. In other words, we're sleeping here, thinking everything is okay, but it's anything but okay. We're all in kind of an emergency situation, and we have the antidote to that emergency, which is the holy name and the science of bhakti as taught by Srila Prabhupada, following the line from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So don't stay in this world of death, go to the world of eternity. Don't stay in darkness, come to the light of transcendental knowledge. And don't stay in this temporary, ever-changing world of birth and death, but come to the eternal world of eternal bliss and knowledge. Now that brings... Nice. Okay, you understand?
Very, very nice. Yes, now I understand. I wrote it down. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
All right.
Prabhu.
I wanted to try something different tonight. We're not going to stop the class, but I want to give out this little old iPad of mine, which weighs a ton. And there's a picture on here. And I want you to look at it. Let's see if I got... Okay. It was here. What this thing is. And we're going to... we're going to have a poem that goes with it. Okay. There it is. So I'm going to hand this out, and you can, okay, yeah, you can go this way, and just look at it and try to and remember what's in it. There's Krishna sitting there with the beautiful deer and the cow and the bird, you know, ideal. And just take for a few seconds and look at it, and then give it on, because we have quite a crowd tonight. And then at 8:07 or so, we'll have a poem that goes with it. And then you can think of the poem. Ideally, we can have a big screen, you know, but that's not going to happen. So, all right. Meanwhile, we'll go on to text what? 16? No, 17. Yasya naham kuto bhavo buddhir yasya nalipyate hatvapi sahima lokan nahanti nanabhadyate. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions. Purport. In this verse, the Lord informs Arjuna that the desire not to fight arises from false ego. Arjuna thought himself to be the doer of action, but he does not consider the supreme sanction within and without. If one does not, the supreme sanction within and without, if one does not know what a super sanction is, that the super sanction is there, why should he act? But one who knows the instruments of work, himself as the worker, and the Supreme Lord as the supreme sanctioner, is perfect in doing everything. Such a person is never in illusion. Personal activity and responsibility arise from false ego and godlessness, or a lack of Krishna consciousness. Anyone who is acting in Krishna consciousness under the direction of the Supersoul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though killing, does not kill, nor is he ever affected by the reaction of such killing. When a soldier kills under the command of a superior officer, he is not subject to be judged. But if a soldier kills on his own personal account, then he is certainly judged by a court of law. So this is a central analogy Prabhupada would always give. It's, you know, it's a very dramatic scene here. I mean, just try to, you know, let's step back a minute. Here's this huge war that's about to begin, millions on either side, for the rule of the earth. And on one side is kind of demonic, you know, selfish Duryodhana, who's trying to usurp the kingdom. And the other side is Dharma personified in Yudhishthira, son of Yamaraj, and Arjuna, son of Indra, and Bhishma, son of Vayu, and the other two Pandavas, you know, all exalted, and devotees of Krishna, you know, pure devotees of Krishna. So really it's good versus evil. So how is it going to be decided? So the key factor is Krishna is not going to annihilate all the other side. That's not his purpose here. He's done plenty of that over his pastimes. If you read the Krishna book, Jarasan, you know, he's done that. But here he wants Arjuna to be, to get the credit, and he wants them to fight for it in this way. And also it allows him to speak this Bhagavad Gita, which is universal instruction, is pertinent to us today as it was to Arjuna on the battlefield. We're also on a battlefield, you know. And for birth after birth, we've been losing the battle. We're under the control of our lower self and suffering like anything. We're out of our element. So the idea here is that when one's every breath, when every activity is under the authorization of the Supreme Personality of God, or the Supersoul, then one is completely free from the responsibility. There's no karma involved. And one is acting just like a hand, where this hand is healthy if it's doing my will, right? We don't think twice. I want to do something, the hand does it, picks up the water, whatever it may be. But if the hand suddenly doesn't do that, it's paralyzed. It's a burden on the body. It's trouble. So this is why we're kicked out of the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world, there's complete harmony. As I say in my little poem, where Krishna lives, felicity abounds. With pure simplicity and loving sensibility, all serve him with humility. You see? So there's complete unity there, and everything is... And don't forget, we're part and parcel of Krishna. So when Krishna is pleased by our activities, we're automatically pleased. When we try to separate ourselves from Krishna and act independently, then we have a little frisson of pleasure. We may get sense gratification, but the price is huge. birth, old age, disease, and death, and the threefold miseries, and not, and rarely in a human form. And these lower forms, it's so horrible. It's such a tragedy for the spirit soul. So now we have this rare human form of life. They said, don't waste it. What is that verse I love to quote? Prabhupada quote all the time. Labdva sudurlamamidam bahusambhavante manushyamatatamanitjamapi adhira turnam yateta napateta namrityava nikshaya saya vishaya kalasarvataksya. I think you know this one. So what it means is, human being, you've attained this human form of life after many, many births through other species. Labdva sudurlamamidam. It's difficult to achieve. There's only, 7 billion of us? There's that many termites in my building. I'm having trouble with that. They're all living entities, just like we are. Sudurlamamidam. So it's rare. Manusham, human beings, you can hear the word man in there. Artadam, it's the key phrase. It means in this form alone, we can achieve the final goal of life. Arta means the most valuable thing. But like all others, anityam, it's not eternal. The clock is ticking. It's temporary. So one has to be dhira. Very important word comes up at the beginning of the instructions here in chapter 2. One has to be dhira and not let the dualities disturb one. So what's the result here? Turnam yateta. Turna means immediately, without wasting time. Don't procrastinate. Yateta, strive. For what? For the ultimate good. As long as you have your body, as long as you have your senses, you have some choice in the matter. This is anumritya yavat. Nikshayasaya. Not just shreyas, but ultimate good, which is complete eradication of all of our attachment to the ever-changing things of this world, and all of that attachment to Krishna. Thank you. And after all, we've enjoyed so-called sense gratification in all kinds of situations and other forms of life. So this is an injunction. How can we find the Nikshreyasa? Arjuna asks Krishna. He's telling us right here in the Bhagavad Gita. The ultimate good is complete eradication of our attachments to this material world, our hopes in this material world, and just think of me, become devoted, worship me, and bow down low. You'll come to me, O friend. I promise you this boon, I shall be still. So we're near the point where we want to. Now, does everyone remember this picture? Beautiful Krishna sitting. This is our home. This is our. And he's sitting there, and he's got the little calf, beautiful calf. He's got a dove he's holding, and the deer is there, and the swan. I'm sorry? Mahabharat? Oh, no. I'm glad that wasn't on the mic. Okay. So now here's the poem that goes with that. The sweetness of Sri Krishna's form beguiles. Try to visualize this beautiful picture. The sweetness of Sri Krishna's form beguiles. Still sweeter is his face like autumn moon. But sweeter than the sweetest is his smile, whose luscious beauty makes the gopis swoon. Govinda's beauty captivates the doves, the swans, the deer, the cows, and every tree. Indeed, in Braja, every creature loves Sri Krishna and is drowned in ecstasy. That all-enchanting land is paradise, our home, where we may dwell eternally. Most welcome there are those who pay the price to learn to love Sri Krishna perfectly. And that's what this movement is all about. Any other comments or questions?
Dravida Prabhu?
Yes, one quick one. Oh,
No,
I'm sorry.
no, can you show the picture to the Zoom students?
Okay. You see it? Can you see it? Oh, what
Yes.
happened? Oh my God. All right, it changed. Oh, one more. I got it. I get it. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, Haribo. All right, what were we doing?
Saul has a question.
Huh? Yeah, but we don't have much time.
Okay.
Okay, 1 minute. 1 minute question.
Okay, I guess it's just about chanting the holy names and what benefit comes from it. I know we talked about it throughout the whole thing, but staying consistent with it and staying determined with it.
Yeah.
how do we see like the progression, and as it gets stronger, like what are the benefits?
That's
that
a good,
come from
very
it?
good question. I'll give you this access YouTube and look for my Sunday night lecture. You'll get all the answers. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.